Sarah Harvey, and I am a case manager and supervisor at YWCA Hanover Safe Home. To observe National Crime Victims' Rights Week, I would like to take some time to talk about a program that has impacted thousands of victims across the country, LAP, or the Lethality Assessment Program. Recognizing that intimate partner violence is a preventable public health crisis, LAP was designed to better identify and serve at-risk victims in the highest danger of being killed by their intimate partner. In 2003, prior to the creation of LAP, a study found that for 28 to 33% of victims, the homicide or attempted homicide was the first act of violence in the relationship, which shows that physical violence is not necessarily the most accurate predictor of homicide. This forced those seeking to prevent domestic violence-related homicides to look for other non-physical tactics that abusers may use, many of which are not even considered crimes, that could indicate a victim is in high danger of being killed. The Maryland Network Against Domestic Violence conducted extensive research, and in conjunction with the research of Dr. Jacqueline Campbell of Johns Hopkins University, the Lethality Assessment Screen and Protocol were created and implemented in 2005. The Lethality Assessment Screen and Protocol provide an easy and effective method for law enforcement and other community professionals to identify victims of intimate partner violence who are at the highest risk of being seriously injured or killed by their intimate partners, and immediately connect them to a domestic violence program. The Lethality Assessment Screen and Protocol provide an easy and effective method for law enforcement and other community professionals to identify victims of intimate partner violence who are at the highest risk of being seriously injured or killed by their intimate partners, and immediately connect them to a domestic violence program. Another study conducted prior to the creation of LAP showed that of the intimate partner homicide victims who had been harassed or stalked in the year prior to their murder, only 4% had utilized a domestic violence hotline or shelter within the year before their death. They do, however, encounter law enforcement. Another study showed that in the year prior to the homicide, more than 44% of abusive partners were arrested, and almost 1/3 of victims contacted the police. These contacts were missed opportunities to identify victims in danger of being killed by their intimate partners. LAP capitalizes on the contact that law enforcement has with victims in danger of intimate partner homicide and connects them to local domestic violence service providers. Once implemented, LAP trained officers to screen for risk factors that may indicate a high probability of lethality. These include, but are not limited to, an increase in frequency or severity of physical violence in the last 6 months, use or threats of use of a weapon against the victim, threats to kill the victim or the victim's children, the victim's belief that the abuser might try to kill them, possession or access to a gun, strangulation, violent and constant jealousy, controlling most of the victim's daily activities, and if the victim has recently left, separated from, or divorced the abusive partner. The process begins when an officer arrives at the scene of a call for service. Once the scene is secure and the investigation is complete, an officer may activate the Lethality Assessment Protocol. The officer asks the victim the 11 questions on the lethality screen, which is the first component of LAP. The screen itself takes less than 5 minutes to conduct. Based on the victim's answers to those questions, the victim can be identified as high danger or non-high danger. A high danger screen immediately activates a call to the local domestic violence hotline, which is the second and equally important prong of LAP. Even victims who do not screen in as high danger and those who are not ready to seek help receive valuable information from the lethality screen. It provides them with insight into the warning signs that could indicate that an abusive relationship is escalating in severity. Additionally, the officer's concern for the victim, as well as the visible partnership between the officer and the advocate, both demonstrate to victims that there are people who care about their situation and are available to help when they are ready and able to safely seek services. While I have probably made the LAP sound very simple, I cannot stress enough how important it is in our everyday work. Without it, so many victims would not be connected to our services. The Lethality Assessment Protocol has been and will continue to be a huge resource to victims of intimate partner crime.